on some things, so yeah, you sometimes you can have the best.
Yeah, you've got to, yeah, because I know the work ethic I've got from the UK is very strong.
That's right.
But also my upbringing was more military anyway, so right. It's more. But that's one of the reasons my kids are also getting educated in Europe.
That's right.
A lot of people, because I brought my family from the Philippines, can now connect with why I would move from a good lifestyle in the Philippines to coming to Europe.
That's
but
right.
the reality is, kids multilingual. Your children obviously speak English, Spanish,
and a little bit of Italian.
Yeah, so just being multilingual alone puts them ahead of so many people.
Well, that's the biggest advantage of being in Europe, that your children can have a career in languages at a very short age. And then they don't realize it. You don't realize it, but when they were to join the labor force, then they will find themselves having a massive tool.
Because everybody needs people to communicate.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of technology advances in things like Babbel and whatever to do with translations, but at the end of the day, it doesn't get the message across because there's no emotion in it, there's no feeling.
Exactly, and in the continent, you have to bear in mind that Italy, France, Spain, the languages are very romantic languages.
It's very vocal.
Exactly. So sometimes if you cannot express the sentiment, even as a translator, then you don't get the message across.
Great. That's it. Because I mean that's one of the things I do struggle in Spain is learning the language here because it's so literal.
That's right.
But because obviously in the English language there's so many words, but it's specific.
Exactly.
I find how can one word mean 6 different things?
Exactly. and also words that pronounce very much the same. But with different meanings. But that's why, because these languages derive from the Latin language. And if you were to study Latin or Italian grammar, is much richer than any other language. It's precisely because of that, because they have a word for every sentiment, also different genres for themes, and then and different scenarios as well that you have to accommodate within the language. And obviously, then you have to bring the new words, the slang, colloquialisms.
It's very in depth, But so, if somebody was coming to Spain to live, what would you recommend they would be, say, the most important things they should look at before actually committing themselves?
It depends. As they say in the UK, different horses for different causes. If you are coming from, let's say, Philippines, then you should, if you have I understand that in the Philippines you have a lot of Spanish words within the Filipino language, so it's a plus. And then you study the culture a little bit beforehand coming, and then try to at least listen to Spanish radio to familiarize with the language and with the sayings and stuff. So when you come, you will feel more familiar, because it's all about how you feel.
Also, I mean, one thing I will say, I do find the Spanish speak way too fast. It's like a sewing machine. It's like
especially in the coast, the coastal people, because they are known for being laid-back people. They accommodate the language to their mood, and then. But if you have, also it depends on the cultural level as well. So, but yeah, if you manage to find a good speaker in Spanish, then that's when you have to start searching for what type of accents you want to stick to.
Because I know at the moment there's a bit of a challenge on relating to Valencian being forced into the school. This probably is more important about the racial issues in Spain than anything else, because I think it's people not wanting to be central government. They want to have their own areas. So as such, languages in each area is very strong. Because I know we're going to the Philippines embassy on Monday, and they're actually explaining to us what the what it would be in Valencian. They're not talking Spanish overall. They're talking Valencian because they're in Valencia. But obviously we don't speak Valencian. We have enough problems learning Spanish. But I think that's where the issues are locally. Where it's regional people wanting to keep hold of their identity, the regional identity.
The situation is that in the Valencian community, that's another issue in Spain, that you have autonomous communities. Okay, and then when you ask me about the downwards of coming here, and the pitfalls. Pitfalls, exactly, of coming here. That's one of them. Because it's autonomous regions, and they are not streamlined nor standardized. And then you might have different procedures to follow in Andalusia or here in the Valencian community. And then, as you say, these communities now are starting to think as very autonomous communities. And for me, as a Spanish speaker, I would say, with regards to Valenciano, that for me, and I might be disrespectful now towards Valenciano, but for me, it's like a dialect. Because you can have a different. As a Spanish speaker, I can understand it. That means that the source of it is Español, is Castellano. Because if I can understand it, and if it sounds more Castellano for me than anything else, then it's a dialect. Whilst I wouldn't be saying the same with the Catalonians, and the Basque country. Those languages are different, completely different. But Valenciano, like Portuguese, for example.
It's just a slight difference.
Exactly. And then if you can understand, if you, by being a Spanish speaker, can understand these other languages, let's say, then you start identifying which is the one that sounds the clearest.
The one that is easiest to understand and communicate with.
But then here, with to bear in mind that if you want to become civil servants in the future for children growing up here, is paramount that they have to speak Valencian.
That's it. Good, because I mean, is your daughters doing Valencian in school?
Yeah, that's right.
But they also do English as well, don't they?
But they have options, and then they have A, B, C, D, and E. The grades. She says that A is for the wisest, and then the ones that are in A, they are plurilingual kind of teaching. So they have maths taught in Valenciano, they have geography taught in English, they might have maths taught in Valenciano, which in itself, it can be very confusing.
Because I know, I think my son's doing Catalan as well.
Really?
Yeah, he's doing at least 3 languages.
Right.
But because he's doing Valencian, he's doing English, and I think they're doing Catalan as well.
Right.
So it's quite a broad thing. But the thing is, at that age, it's not too bad. At our age, there's enough to learn.
That's right. But then the argument that is there, and I know that people here, Spanish people, are fighting within the Valencian community, is that they should pay more attention to English or German than to Catalan.
But that's where, because I think there's been some local protests about this. The school have been asking us to get involved in it because they're trying to remove some of the English teaching to replace it with Valencian. Which I think's not a good thing.
No.
As an extra. An extracurriculum thing, it's important. If people want to keep their region and regional languages, dialects, culture, that's one thing. But if you start depriving people of other languages, it sets them back in Europe.
That's right.
It's something you can't get back. Because if you lose it in early childhood, it becomes much harder later on. I do think that it's important that the kids are learning English or Dutch, German, something that will actually help them in the future. Because even French as well, because obviously we're near the French border, so it's for learning French, it's also a plus.
That's right.
But going more internal, I don't think
it's a backwards.
It's not help. It doesn't help the economy. It doesn't. I think it's important that it's broader to try and encourage international growth.
That's right.
They want that money in here. They want the business.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So So how have you found working in Spain?
Well, because of my background, and because of the languages, I found easy. I came with a job proposal, and I was working in Calpe with an English lawyer there. She wanted to retire, and it went okay. And I was traveling from Torrevieja all the way to Calpe just because of the sake of work. Because I thought to myself, well, if I can get a job within my profession in English, even if I have to go all the way to Calpe, it's no brainer for me.
Yeah.
But then, it was no go anymore, and then I found work locally. And I would say that as long as you speak the languages, English and Spanish, it would be very difficult for you to struggle finding work.
There's always work if you can speak the two languages. So that's what lets me down. I don't speak enough Spanish, but
you will learn, and I will teach you.
Yeah, well, the thing there's work for me in Madrid. You know, I can even commute to Madrid.
As well.
Yeah, because the facilities management and stuff I do. There's demand, everywhere for it. But my Spanish is pigeon Spanish at best. And the thing is, I didn't expect it to be as hard as it was, but it is quite a difficult language for me to learn.
Yeah.
Because like you got the male and female, But I think it's one of those things that I don't spend enough time around people speaking Spanish as well, which is it's my own fault, but then again I've been working, so
well, that's what when I was in the UK, the willpower, willpower will defeat everything, and if you want to achieve things, then the way is, for example, with the languages, what I did in the UK, and I say that not to brag on me, but simply as a suggestion, is that you have radio is free, so just to suggest you to listen to radio every day. If you find a radio station